Another Alex Jones cut, and it's about the police state here in the United States. And we start out with good old Janet Napolitano. Big sister, big brother. Let her roll.
There is no question that we have made many important strides in securing our country from terrorism since 9/11. But the threat continues to evolve. And in some ways, the threat today may be at its most heightened state since the attacks nearly 10 years ago.
But I think if you just take those three pieces of evidence right there and add 2 + 2 + 2, you have the U.S. government letting Mutsalab on the plane with an intentionally defective bomb. The war on terror is a fraud, and it's being used in a manner to take away your rights for whatever reason.
In addition to the core al-Qaeda group, which still represents a threat to the United States despite its diminished capabilities, we now face threats from a number of al-Qaeda associates that share its violent extremist ideology. Among these groups, we are also seeing an increased emphasis on recruiting Americans and Westerners to carry out attacks. They are also encouraging individuals in the West to carry out their own small-scale attacks, which require less of the coordination and planning that could raise red flags and lead to an attack's disruption.
In my 16 years of deep research, it has become clear the number one threat to any sovereign free nation is its military. Look at Nazi Germany, look at Latin America, look at Asia, look at Africa, look at Eastern Europe. When you build up a giant paramilitary police force, it almost always tries to take over the society. In the last 12 years, we've watched an acceleration of militarization of police. We've watched threat fusion centers, the 10 FEMA regions expand, the Governor's Council. I've been to urban warfare drills where our own military is training to lock down and barricade and blockade U.S. cities and confiscate our firearms. This whole program accelerated after 1999 when Congress got rid of the Glass-Steagall Act. It allowed private central banks to issue unlimited counterfeit financial instruments known as derivatives. And we've heard that, oh, the military and the police state, the TSA, it's for al-Qaeda. But now we see checkpoints in Tennessee run by the Army, shutting down highways, searching citizens. We see them in New York State with x-ray machines. We see it all over the nation. We see Marines running illegal checkpoints for DUI in California. And when the governors and others complain, they're told, sit down and shut up. It's under Homeland Security. It's under continuity of government. And now, as the world implodes, as the derivatives dollar devaluation crisis expands, we're seeing the police and military being called out against the general population all over the world as people go under austerity, as their pension funds are cut, as their benefits are cut, but their taxes go up. And here domestically in the U.S., this huge apparatus of oppression is openly being set up and deployed against the people. And I saw an amazing blurb from Business Insider that linked to an article and the audio of the governor of Wisconsin on NPR saying, hey, we're cutting all these state employees, and we're going to make you pay more of your paycheck into a pension fund, which they loot out the back door. And if you don't like it, we're going to use the National Guard on you.
And on the heels of the governor's speech, and just in case there are problems, the governor went on to say that he has called the Wisconsin National Guard and other agencies to make sure they would be ready, just in case.
That's what this whole Homeland Security system's for. You know, they distract you over here with men living in caves in Central Asia. You think you're giving your rights up to protect you from the dangerous ankle-biting Al-Qaeda, but then meanwhile, the whole system is rolled out against the American people. And this is just another signpost on the road to tyranny, on the road to serfdom, illustrating how the paramilitary control grid has been set up and deployed against the American people. Bottom line, Al-Qaeda is a cover story. We've given you the MIAC report and all the other internal documents that prove this apparatus is designed for the American people. And it's being rolled out nationwide with the TSA on the streets of America. It's being rolled out with governors shooting their mouths off saying, you got a problem with me? Armed force is standing by. The globalists know the American people are awakening. They know people are becoming aware of what's happening. And if they can sell the military and police on going along with this brazen attack on our liberty and to be this homeland brigade to suppress us here at home, they're going to get away with it. It's only going to get worse from here on out unless we get the word out and take our states back legally and lawfully through the 10th Amendment. You have been warned.
That one that you just saw, now that we've been talking about Homeland Security, I just thought I'd just put a quick little video in here. This is from DARPA. That's our military defense program. And look how they've been spending their money. They made a little tiny model hummingbird, radio controlled with a camera and a microphone. And it can be used to fly to your windowsill and bug your house or whatever. Anyway, go ahead and run this next video. This is a gee whiz video. Go ahead and you'll get a kick. Yeah, now if you notice, there's that little hummingbird. The inset in the corner is the camera's view that the hummingbird sees, and it's a real wide-angle camera, so you have a hard time getting much detail. But when he flies back towards the guy with the joystick, you'll see him standing there. Yeah, when he's coming back down the wall this way, and you see, right there in the inset, you see the guy with the joystick. He's going to fly right over him. And I guess that thing can fly for about 8 minutes before it runs out of batteries, but it can hover, it can stand. Now watch, he's going to fly it into the building and then back it out of the building. And I mean, I wonder if you have to get a warrant for that. I wonder. The answer is no, if we have the Patriot Act, or if everybody keeps looking the other way while the authorities do whatever they darn well please. Here it comes back out of the building. There it is. And there you have it, folks. It's not science fiction. This is just like Star Wars, the Imperial probe droid. And it landed just like a vertical takeoff vehicle. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to see is, I've told you that I was tired of seeing the FBI find these, kind of mindless kids, dupes, turn them into so-called terrorists, supply the bombs that don't go off, and then prosecute these guys as a justification for their jobs. I mean, a justification for Homeland Security, a justification for all this terror nonsense. And I recently wrote a letter to my congressman telling him not to vote for, or actually Blumenthal, not to vote for the renewal of the Patriot Act. I said that that's about the most un-American thing you could do, and whoever votes for the Patriot Act ought to be impeached for treason. I don't mince my words. But, how do I know that, it was a intelligence agency covert op every time you see one of these terrorists brought out? The underwear bomber, the shoe bomber, the Portland Somali bomber. Well, here's a story, an interview, again with Alex Jones, but this is a live interview that he's having with Kurt Haskell, who is a lawyer who happened to be on the flight with the underpants bomber. And this will open your mind. Here we go. Go ahead and show this one.
Kurt Haskell, one of the survivors of the Christmas Day attempted bombing of that aircraft, not this last Christmas, but the Christmas before last, 14 months ago. But all of this comes on the heels of WikiLeaks putting out government documents and saying, oh my gosh, the FBI is now searching for hijacked supporters who were casing things. But in the document, the media is focusing on the scary, Al-Qaeda people who haven't been caught and how the FBI has been dispatched to the Middle East to try to find them. But in the document, it admits that they were known by intelligence and that the FBI was told to stand down. And that's Paul Joseph Watson's article dealing with this at prisonplanet.com. WikiLeaks bombshell points to 9/11 stand down. Now, what do we have going on with Anwar al-Awlaki, the #3 guy in al-Qaeda, 2 months after 9/11, secretly meeting, in fact, let's put up that Fox News article, secretly meeting at the Pentagon while he's on the news as one of the top al-Qaeda people. Now they admit he was behind the Fort Hood shooter. He was behind the Christmas Day bomber. He was supposedly behind the underwear bomber, the Christmas Day bomber. He was supposedly behind the shoe bomber, the Times Square bomber. But he's protected. And then I interview Springman of the Saudi Arabian embassy for the U.S. when they were ordered back before 9/11 to let Mohammed Atta and others back in. And when others in the visa office complained, they were told, don't worry, they're not really terrorists. This is part of drills. They're government agents. And you got the Newsweek headline, hijackers trained at U.S. military bases. And Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Butler, the head of the Defense Language School, saying they were trained at his school. The list goes on and on and on. But with Muttalib, the underwear bomber, he looks disheveled, kind of looks drugged. He gets led onto the plane. They get him on the plane without all the proper documents. Kurt Haskell and his wife, who are both lawyers, watch this. Then they see all the chicanery on the plane. He comes out and talks about it. The FBI says that can't be true. And then months later, after Christmas, in February, the State Department deputy head, Kennedy, says, yes, an unnamed U.S. agency asked us to let him get on the plane and not stop him and to basically give him the visa. Now, Kurt Haskell has now said more, but there's the Fox News headline, exclusive. Al-Qaeda leader died at the Pentagon just months after 9/11. I want to play this short Fox News clip from a few weeks ago outside dealing with the underwear bomber and his trial. And Mr. Haskell, he and his wife survived it, and everything they've said has now been totally proven. The issue here is Kurt Haskell isn't saying this. He witnessed it. The government tried to deny it and now has admitted it. And is his standby lawyer going to bring this up? Is Muttalib clearly out of his mind going to bring this up? We saw the government cook the bomb, train the driver, and order a stand down in '93 with the first World Trade Center attack. It's the same story over and over and over again. A month ago in Germany, a plane came in with a supposed bomb. Turned out that was a drill, but they reported it after. Kurt Haskell joins us, who's been completely vindicated in spades, everything he talked about. Kurt, we appreciate you and your wife's courage. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back on, Alex.
Recap, basically, for those that don't know the details of the story, exactly what happened and now what's unfolded since then.
Sure. Well, the main part of what people want to hear me talk about is what I saw before boarding, which was a man in a tan suit who appeared to be Indian escorting Muttalib to the ticket desk, indicating that Muttalib needed to get on the plane, but he didn't have a passport. The ticket agent refused, and then the man in the tan suit said, he's from Sudan. We do this all the time. They got into a bit of an argument, and then she referred the man in the tan suit and Muttalib down a hallway to talk to the security manager, and then, of course, he winds up on her plane detonating a defective bomb, but we didn't know it at the time, a few hours later. So, that's what most people want to hear from me as to my pre-boarding account. It shows that not everything was on the up and up before boarding, and now we have, since then, we have more FBI plots where they've admitted giving the Portland Christmas tree bomber and the Wrigley Field bomber, just two off the top of my head, intentionally defective bombs. And now we have standby Attorney Chambers indicating that, in fact, this was a defective bomb. you know, with all the other evidence. I could go on and on and on about all the other evidence, but I think if you just take